In the early hours of April 23, 1994, a cleaning woman was going through the garbage at Inokashira Park, a 95-acre park established in 1917 in the west of Tokyo. The area is also famous for an urban legend that states couples who ride boats together on the pond will be destined to break up. But on this day, it was about to become famous for something else. It's reported that early in the morning on April 23, 1994, the cleaning woman was going through the trash at Inokashira Park looking for something to feed some stray cats when she opened a bag and found a human limb inside. The police were immediately called in and ultimately discovered 27 pieces of an unidentified human body in 7 locations over the park. The pieces were cut with an electric saw into even 20-centimeter pieces and then double-bagged. They were first put into a black bag full of holes to drain water, and then placed in another semi-translucent bag. This particular method of bagging is especially common with fishermen. Not only that, but not a single drop of blood was discovered. The knowledge required to do this suggested someone in the medical field, and the amount of water required to do so would also be too large for a regular family household as well. In the end, only a third of the man's body was recovered. His head and torso were never found. It was also suggested that several culprits may have been involved, as the way he was cut up showed at least 3 distinct patterns. But it's also possible that the killer simply switched weapons. The police also horrifyingly realised that there was a very good reason each of the pieces was cut into the same roughly 20-centimeter long shape. Any larger than this and they wouldn't have fit in the bins. Not only did the murder appear to be premeditated, but the disposal of the body at Inokashira Park had been well thought out as well. The killer knew exactly what size the pieces had to be in order to fit in the trash, and so cut them accordingly. Although attempts were made to destroy all evidence of fingerprints, DNA testing proved that the body parts belonged to 35-year-old top-class architect Kawamura Seiichi. Kawamura lived close to the park, and although the exact cause of death was unknown, there was evidence in his muscle tissue of bleeding while still alive. Several theories have been given as to how and why he died. It may have been a grudge killing, or perhaps just a tragic accident. Yet the peculiar way his body was disposed of led many to believe that perhaps the Yakuza were involved, or even that it was some kind of religious punishment. Some blamed Aum Shinrikyo, who were becoming more active at the time, and one of the possibilities explored was that Kawamura was mistaken for a member who was trying to leave the cult. Kawamura was last seen at midnight on April 22nd, the night of the crime. He said goodbye to an acquaintance and was seen in an alley near Kichijoji Station, the station closest to Inokashira Park, with 2 unknown men. A witness claimed to see the men punching him, and then at 4 a.m. the next morning, different witnesses saw 2 suspicious men in their 30s walking around Inokashira Park with black bags. Were these the same 2 men? It doesn't seem too difficult to join the dots. But yet another witness also heard the sounds of an accident around the same time the victim disappeared. Was the man cut up to hide an accident with murderous results, or was the accident entirely unrelated? The strangeness of the case was picked up by the media immediately after the gruesome discoveries, but just 3 days later, China Airlines Flight 140 crashed just seconds before landing at Nagoya Airport. 264 of the 271 people on board died. The media threw themselves at the news, and the Inokashira incident was forgotten. Witness information on the incident decreased almost immediately, and then 11 months later, the Tokyo subway sarin attack took place. Most of the officers working on the dismemberment case were moved over to this new one, leaving only the local Mitaka city officers to work on the stalled case. In the end, no suspects were ever uncovered, and in 2009, the statute of limitations on the crime passed. But 6 years later, in 2015, a new witness came forward. This witness claimed that the killing was indeed a case of mistaken identity, but not for Aum Shinrikyo. This gets a little bit out there, so whether you want to believe it or not is up to you. According to this witness, there was a man, hereafter called A, who was renting a warehouse at Kichijoji Temple. He ran a stall nearby and was in the midst of a turf war with some foreigners who also ran a street stall and were looking to push him out. A also happened to share a scary physical similarity to Kawamura. They were the spitting image of each other, sharing the same height, body composition, and even facial features. They could have been twins. But that wasn't all. The foreigners that A was in constant conflict with were said to be foreign spies. The day he planned to attack them was leaked, and so he fell under their radar. With his life on the line, A went on the run, staying in various business hotels around Tokyo. The attack happened while he was hiding in one of these business hotels somewhere else in the city. The victim's house was close to the warehouse that A was renting, and A himself was often mistaken for the man by his other acquaintances. So, it's likely that the spies were also fooled and mistook the architect for A, killing him instead. But was this the truth, or was someone trying to cash in on an old mystery? There are, after all, many strange facts about the case that still can't be explained. No motive or suspect has ever been discovered in the man's mysterious murder. He was then dismembered and disposed of in a way that suggested professionals who knew what they were doing. But then, why was he disposed of in a public park? It's almost like they wanted people to find him. And where was the rest of his body? It's been suggested that the rest of his body had also been disposed of in the park, but it had already been picked up by garbage trucks by the time police had arrived. Was that their goal all along? To have the man disposed of in the early hours of the morning by garbage trucks so he would never be seen again? He was only discovered by an unlucky cleaning lady who was looking for some food to feed the local stray cats. If she hadn't, the crime would likely have gone unnoticed. Just another missing persons case in a city of 20 million people. Yet the crime remains a mystery to this day. For all the theories that have been put forward, nothing has ever been confirmed, and at this point, it seems unlikely that any of them ever will be. The case made Inokashira Park even more infamous, and in addition to the urban legend of couples breaking up after riding boats in the lake, a new urban legend was born. That of a ghost stalking the park, looking for his or her head. Why this ghost is sometimes a woman is unknown, but likely because of how popular yurei like Sadako and Kayoko became in the years following. Who killed this man? How did he die? Why was he disposed of in a public park? This mysterious case still has more questions than answers and, in the end, remains officially unsolved. It seems unlikely that nearly 3 decades later we'll ever find out the truth, but stranger things have happened. What do you guys think about this one? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again next time.